You know, it's still good to see really good stories in the newspaper like this. Hey, there's a sale at Macy's. No, like this story with some really fresh reporting that you'll see more about tonight on NEOtropolis, Not Business as Usual. Welcome to NEOtropolis. We are not business as usual. Hi, I'm your host, Jim Evans. Our mission each week is to bring you stories of unique business people and organizations, of course, along with business news and information in Northeast Ohio. And tonight we'll focus on a group of young people who are working in a special program with broad involvement that can enable them to make news their business. You get to see that shortly. But as we do on our first block, we'll take a look at regional business news from the NEOtropolis Good Business News Aggregator.
This is the Good Business News along the I-77 corridor for the week of July 11th. Tuesday's Cleveland Plain Dealer and the Canton Repository's business sections report that General Motors plans a diesel cruise in the U.S. The diesel version would help GM meet more stringent government gas mileage requirements, boosting fuel efficiency to around 50 miles per gallon. The diesel cruise would be built at GM's factory in Lordstown. Tuesday's Cleveland Plain Dealer business section reports that Linestream Technologies, a company founded to commercialize technology developed at Cleveland State University, has signed a major licensing deal with industrial giant Texas Instruments. Linestream writes software that controls industrial robots and other types of automated machinery. Cleveland industrial producer Parker Hannafin was one of the early testers of the software. Wednesday's Cleveland Plain Dealer business section reports that Cleveland-based Cliff Natural Resources Incorporated has doubled its quarterly cash dividend on common shares. Wednesday's Akron Beacon Journal business section reports that Akron Children's Hospital acquired a $3.5 million MRI unit that can map active brain functions. The advanced MRI studies will be helpful for planning brain surgeries. The hospital currently performs about 6,500 MRI exams annually with its two existing machines, said Dr. Nabil Irani, a pediatric neuroradiologist at Akron Children's. The new MRI should be fully operational by early August. Thursday's Akron Beacon Journal business section reports that Northeast Ohio auto sales are climbing. June sales were up 26.7% from a year ago in the Northeast Ohio region. While new vehicle sales have not returned to their pre-Great Recession levels, they have rebounded strongly from the lows of the past several years. Thursday's Cleveland Plain Dealer business section reports that Michael Simon, Cleveland's own Food Network Iron Chef, got the go-ahead to open his fourth B-Spot restaurant at Crocker Park in Westlake. Thursday's Plain Dealer business section reports that Ritzman Pharmacies of Wadsworth and Buehler Food Markets of Worcester are exploring a partnership in which Ritzman would own and operate all of Buehler's pharmacies. This is the Good Business News along the I-77 corridor for this week. NEOtropolis is your source for good business news.
One thought on the general principles of journalism: it is a form of cartography in that it creates a map for citizens to navigate society. Well, there is a group of students in Youngstown that are mapping out a possible future in the journalism business. As we continue to navigate through our show, you'll see who they are in just a few more moments. And when it comes to great reporting on business news, we are fortunate to navigate to our content partner, the Business Journal. It's time for the Weekly Buzz.
I'm Stacia Erdis with the Business Journal Weekly Buzz for Youngstown and the Mahoning Valley. The B.J. Allen Company announces an $8 million project in Trumbull County. The company says it will relocate its headquarters and expand its warehousing to 3 former Delphi Automotive buildings and 200 acres of land along North River Road in Warren. Right now, the company uses nearly 1,000 storage trailers at their downtown Youngstown location. The State Controlling Board approved a $1.9 million loan request to fund the acquisition and development of the property. The B.J. Allen Company, owned by Bruce Zolden, has signed a 20-year lease for 640,000 square feet of space.
We had an economic opportunity in another community that would have taken us out of the valley that was very attractive. Bruce rejected that, and Bruce made the decision that he wanted to keep the business in the Mahoning Valley.
B.J. Allen says the project will create 56 full-time jobs and retain 177 existing jobs in the area. It looks like a diesel-powered cruise is on the way from General Motors, and reports say it will be built at Lordstown. GMInsideNews.com says it's confirmed the Cruise Diesel will be a 2014 model year vehicle with production slated to begin in spring of 2013. The Detroit News reports the Cruise would be produced at Lordstown in Trumbull County. Fuel economy targets are expected to be in the range of 30 miles per gallon in the city and 50 on the highway. GM already sells diesel versions of the Cruise in Europe, Australia, and Asia. Meanwhile, the Chevy Cruze was the #1 seller in the Mahoning Valley in June. The latest report from the Automobile Dealers Association of Eastern Ohio reports that 200 Cruzes rolled off dealers' lots in Mahoning, Columbiana, and Trumbull counties. The state has signed off on more than $800,000 in Clean Ohio funds for the demolition and remediation at the site of the long-closed Liberty Paramount Theater in downtown Youngstown. After remediation, the building facade will be restored to its historic appearance. The city plans to use a portion of the property for parking and another portion for a farmer's market and outdoor theater. Combining art with helping women in the Mahoning Valley. Reporter Marilyn Kubik gives us a snapshot of what you'll find at the YWCA's annual art show.
Amusing, arresting, moving, profound. Art is a powerful force that reflects life, conveying the observations, beliefs, and feelings of the artist. For the 29th year, the YWCA of Youngstown is presenting Women Artists, a celebration.
This show really stretches the boundaries of the imagination.
The YWCA Art Show runs through July 22nd. For the Daily Buzz, I'm Marilyn Kubik.
And those are this week's headlines. Be sure to check out the Buzz Newscast every business day online at businessjournaldaily.com. I'm Stacia Urtis. We'll see you next week.
And now it's time for a NEOtropolis fact.
Did you know that Northeast Ohio has 200 firms, wholly or partially owned by foreign companies representing 23 countries?
This just in. A group of students are making headlines. Well, actually, they're writing and reporting them. Specifically, these are journalism students who are part of the news outlet at Youngstown State University. It's a growing program that has developed into a collaborative with other schools and professional media outlets in the region. These aspiring journalists gain real enterprise reporting experience, with the premium falling on issue stories that are relevant to your community. Good chance you may have already read or seen their work. Jennifer Boris had the chance to find out more about this important program, and she has this report.
Students here at Youngstown State University are taking part in a very unique journalism program that teams them up with professional news organizations like WYSU, and it is definitely not business as usual.
The polluted sediments can be removed through a costly process called dredging.
Joe Geisey is a senior at Youngstown State University with a journalism major and a minor in psychology and social work. Since spring semester, he's been a part of a fairly new initiative called the News Outlet.
Well, it's really an amazing experience of just getting my stuff published in like a professional outlet and working closely with Tim and Alyssa, who are both just aces at what they do.
Both Tim Francisco and Alyssa Lenhoff are professors here at the university, as well as the creators of the news outlet, which started in January 2009 and was several years in the making.
Dr. Francisco and I and some of our other media colleagues have been talking about some of the problems that we've been seeing in legacy media and some of the problems of journalism training programs. So we kept saying, wouldn't it be great if we could come up with a training ground for students to do more in-depth investigative enterprise type stories, and we could give them to legacy media in an experiment to see, does it work?
They've been able to give it a try thanks to grant dollars, funding through the Knight Foundation and the Wien Foundation, and the university contributing the cost of equipment, the facility, and some reassigned time for the faculties. A big part has also been the legacy or traditional media outlets who have been willing to sign on.
The News Outlet is a partnership. It's a media collaborative between Youngstown State University, WYSU Public Radio, and the Vindicator. We have just taken on a couple of additional partners, the University of Akron, Kent State University, the Akron Beacon Journal, and Rubber City Radio. And what we do is basically get together and produce what we call community information content. We're looking at issue stories that affect the residents of the target market.
It's an online collection of print, radio, and video stories by the students chosen to participate, which is normally about a dozen in any given semester, but is much smaller in the summer months. And many of the stories are picked up by the professional media partners.
Students produce the content, they report the content, and then it's run by the professional media organizations. What makes it a little bit different is that we ask the media organizations to participate. We call it sweat equity. So we require them to devote 10 hours a week to the collaborative in exchange for that content.
WYSU is the public radio station located on campus.
10 minutes before 11 o'clock, the WYSU weather forecast for today is calling for sunny skies.
And they've been committed to the news outlet since the beginning.
It kind of began 5 or 6 years ago when the station went through a strategic plan, and a big piece of that was, we need to do more locally relevant stuff. I mean, we're primarily, we're half and half. We're a classical station and we're an NPR affiliate. But we're small, we don't have a news staff, and we're trying to figure out how to do more locally relevant news-related or community-related stuff.
So they teamed up with Tim and Alyssa.
The unique thing is, and the fun thing is, I have a staff person who works closely with the news outlet, and we develop these stories and try to, we're very strict about the fact that they need to sound like they belong on in an NPR news program. So I think it's a good experience for the kids, and we do some nice features locally. We're not doing breaking news or cutting news, but we're doing nice features, and it's something we've never been able to do in the whole history of the station.
And he says they're getting great feedback from listeners.
It's been universally positive. In fact, we frequently get calls after we air a story, a local story. Oh, that's so cool that so that's meeting my goal of having it fit into the NPR style of reporting, and also being really good and interesting local stuff.
Both Tim and Alyssa have worked in journalism, and they bring their experiences in the newsroom back to the students.
One of the things that I try to teach my students, for example, I regularly teach feature writing, and I also teach magazine writing, is to think entrepreneurially, to think about creating good content that can be pushed out to different media outlets in different media platforms.
So if a student is writing a print story, he asks them to think of what element can be broken out into video, audio, or graphics.
The idea is that they can kind of put careers together that's more suited to the way things are changing.
Ed Esposito is Vice President of Information Media for Rubber City Radio Group and past chairman for RTNDA, which stands for the Radio Television News Directors Association. He's worked in a number of different roles in the field of journalism and seen many changes firsthand.
The fundamental change in journalism hasn't been the one that there are new platforms to get it in, or for us to deliver it in, per se. I think the fundamental change in journalism has been that there are more platforms for our audience to receive our products in. And that's what's driven most of the fundamental economic change and made the business models to this point in journalism. I think they're rather unstable.
I think there's been a real shift away from investigative and enterprise stories, and I think people have really suffered because of that. We have a theory that investigative and enterprise stories really help sell media, and that they're really important for newspapers and for TV stations and for legacy media organizations. And our theory is that the second that legacy media stopped investing in more substantive reporting, then readers went away.
Those are exactly the types of stories they are working to bring back to the public. About 70 of the student stories have already been printed in the Vindicator, many of them making the front page.
We know that many of our stories have made a big impact already. I can talk about a couple of them that have prompted some results and some changes.
Like one story that examined a local hospital's protocol for heart attack sufferers.
This local hospital, which is classified as a level 1 trauma center, was not offering what is considered standard of care by other hospitals for heart attack victims. And after our reporter began asking some questions, the hospital started to investigate this procedure, and now we'll soon be offering it.
Creating positive changes in their community like this is something the students can be very proud of.
I'm super proud of their work ethic, Many of our students are first-generation college students, and I would put some of our students up against students from, some of the big-name journalism schools in the country. I mean, they're very hardworking. They really understand the value of what they're doing.
Journalism students, I think most of them do and should understand that what they're getting into is a calling. It's still public service.
Alyssa says she's also really proud of their media partners.
It was not an easy thing for them to say, okay, we're going to trust students to tackle these big, huge stories that used to be reserved for investigative teams and so forth. I mean, it was a big leap of faith for them to trust us.
It's not just media outlets getting involved. Alyssa says they believe that the local community also needs to take part to set their own news agenda, making them care more about the stories and become more engaged citizens.
So one of the things that we do is we regularly attend block watch group meetings. The interns go out to block watches to talk to residents about issues that are on their minds. We come back after the meetings, have discussion about the issues and the possible stories that they identified. We write story pitches and then we put them up for a public vote on various websites, on our Legacy Media Partners websites, on our site, and at the public library.
They use the public votes to help prioritize which stories they cover.
Sometimes it's, simple little concerns about neighborhood patrols. Other times, they really identify some issues that are very important.
Although the program is open to all students, Tim says they're primarily journalism students.
We just finished our round of interviews, and we basically treat it almost as a job application process. We ask them to submit clips, and then they come in here and they interview, and we do it on that basis. We like them to have at least had the basic news writing class and preferably 6 to 12 credits in the major.
The benefit to students is huge: hands-on training, professional clips, and getting their work in different outlets and platforms.
We have a student who's a senior who to date, through working with the news outlet, has been published in the Akron Beacon-Journal. He's been published in the Youngstown Vindicator. He's had spots on WYSU and on Rubber City Radio in Akron.
And here's another big perk: they get paid.
What we're looking to do this year is sort of really buckle down on the sustainability. How can we make this work? How can we keep this going? So we think eventually we'll ask media partners to think about subsidizing, but in the form of scholarship and stipends for the students. We use our grant funding to pay our students because we think it's important. We want them to not necessarily have to make the choice between working at the local fast food place and gaining valuable experience.
Experience that Joe thinks will help when he begins his job search.
If this experience doesn't put me in a new employer's mind, I hope that it will at least set me apart from the pack who, these other journalists that are coming into a tough market don't have professional clips. They have maybe student publication clips. Well, I've got student publication clips and I have professional clips. So, maybe it'll just help me get ahead of the pack, and sometimes that's all you need.
You can catch these student stories by going to any of the traditional media outlets they're teamed up with, or by going to thenewsoutlet.org. In Youngstown, I'm Jennifer Boris for Western Reserve PBS.
You have to think for those students at YSU, there's an encouraging future. And with that, it's time now for Into the Future.
Into the future.
Hi, I'm Ron Doman from Flaming River Industries. Flaming River Industries is a growing aftermarket automotive company. Founded in 1987 with an objective for developing steering systems for muscle cars, classic cars, street rods, off-road, and racing. Our corporate headquarters and manufacturing facility in Berea, Ohio, has the highest and latest CNC and laser equipment for manufacturing, testing, and assembly. With quality technicians, our products are made to last. Quality craftsmanship, high-grade material, made in the USA, makes our tilt steering columns and power rack and pinions the leader in the industry, offering our customers the highest quality and durability possible. We have partnered with Magnet to achieve ISO certification. Through this process, this will allow us to expand our business opportunities. Over the last several years, we have expanded our research and development manufacturing to expand into global markets. Magnet's expertise allows us the structure to expand this system into greater product standards. Northeast Ohio is known as a hardcore automotive and heavy-duty manufacturing. In that light, one of our products, our battery disconnect switch, has been strategically placed into the aftermarket heavy-duty truck industry. We service customers such as Peterbilt, Mack Truck, and Kenworth. In the specialty automotive markets, we distribute our products from Summit Racing to Gilner Engineering's or Lobeck's V8 shop. We believe in Ohio, and we're proud that our products are made in the USA. Our philosophy is, if it doesn't say Flaming River, it's just not good enough. Thank you, and for more information, go to flamingriver.com.
At this point in the show, we like to give you news on the financial field, and the experts at NCA Financial Planners give us a look at that now with a stock wrap.
This week's local company stock spotlight is an Akron company we are all familiar with, Goodyear Tire and Rubber. Goodyear has been a part of our city for over 100 years. Not only do we recognize the Goodyear brand on the ground, but also in the sky at Northeast Ohio events on their famous blimp. Goodyear operates 3 blimps in North America. The Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company was founded in 1898, prior to the automobile era. The company focused on the bicycle tire and then moved on to the horseless carriage. By 1929, Goodyear became the world's largest tire company. Today, their products can be found on almost any type of vehicle across the globe, ranging from commercial trucking tires to the standard automobile tire to tires built for high-speed racing. With such a diverse product line, Goodyear employs approximately 72,000 people around the world and operates more than 55 plants in 22 countries. In 2010, Goodyear posted net sales of $18.8 billion. Goodyear stock is traded on the New York Stock Exchange under the symbol GT. The midweek close for Goodyear was $17.32. Year-to-date, the stock is positive, an impressive 46.16%. Over the last 5 years, the stock is positive 71.83%. Back to you, Jim.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Okay, you're thinking, hey, how can I also get more news and information on culture and entertainment in Northeast Ohio? Well, Cool Cleveland's Thomas Mulready has it covered. He joins us now to tell you about some other events that are going on in NEOtropolis this weekend. What we're talking about is the business of fun.
Hey, it's Thomas Mulready from CoolCleveland.com, and this week we're suggesting that you shop local for your vinyl, records, and LPs. A lot of folks have gotten rid of their LPs, but they are making a comeback. Many of the record companies now are releasing new albums on audiophile, 180-gram, real heavy virgin vinyl, and they are also reissuing a lot of the older classic albums in a very heavy vinyl, so you get better quality. And everyone knows that vinyl was always better than CD. A lot of folks are just starting to realize that again. There are still a few shops in Northeast Ohio that feature vinyl records. You need to support these shops because they are going out of business. For example, we are going to suggest you stop into Hodad's in Lakewood. They're at the the east side of Madison Avenue in Lakewood. They are going to be closing up their storefront and going strictly online. And every month we're hearing about vinyl and LP record stores going out of business. There are still quite a few in Northeast Ohio. We are here in Akron at Highland Square at Square Records, and Dave will show you around here. They feature a lot of local artists, a lot of Akron artists. They feature art, which changes every month. And there's a few books, and they really focus on the local culture here. And they do have some CDs. It's interesting, they're selling about 60-40 vinyl to CD these days in a shop like this. In Canton, Checkered Records at 1954 Whipple Road. See George down there. In Kent, there's a couple of great shops right around the corner from each other. Vinyl Underground. See Peter Doug there on Water Street. And around the corner, Spin More Records at 165 East Main Street. Ravenna has got a place called K&M Records, still in business there on North Chestnut Street. Youngstown has a few. Indie Wax Records, 6961 Market Street. Underdog Music Mania at 6181 Youngstown Hubbard Road. And in the Cleveland area, North Collinwood, we'd suggest there's a few stores there, Music Saves, Blue Arrow Records, and there's really a whole strip now where you can walk from record store to record store right near the Beachland Ballroom on Waterloo Road. So check out your local indie record store that sells vinyl in Northeast Ohio. This is Thomas Mulready from CoolCleveland.com. Have a great week in NEOtropolis.
Now keep in mind, there are things that you can do to help the Northeast Ohio economy. One good way is to get out to any of the events Thomas told us about and make your investment in fun. You can also position yourself out there and pass along some reliable facts about the Northeast Ohio economy to some good citizens around you. And tell them to spread the word. Also, remember to log on to our website, neotropolis.org, and tell us what you think. I'm Jim Evans. We'll see you next week on NEOtropolis, not business as usual.
Funding for NEOtropolis has been provided by the Burton D. Morgan Foundation, committed to the free enterprise system.
First Place Bank is proud to sponsor NEOtropolis. As a community bank, First Place Bank believes we are only as strong as the communities we serve. Locally owned businesses are the cornerstone of our communities. We concentrate on helping local businesses make the most of their resources through a variety of services delivered with a community banking touch.
The Dominion Foundation. JumpStart, working with entrepreneurs to accelerate the growth of their high-potential businesses to create a more prosperous economic future for Northeast Ohio. Youngstown Business Incubator. And NorTech,